history of Israel spans millennia and is deeply intertwined with the development of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. From biblical times through Roman rule, medieval diasporas, Zionist aspirations, the Holocaust, and the eventual establishment of the modern state of Israel in 1948, the story of Israel is marked by struggle, faith, identity, and resilience. Tude. Ancient Israel, from patriarchs to kingdoms. The biblical era, circa 2000 BCE, the earliest roots of Israel trace back to the patriarchal period described in the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, with figures such as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Israel. According to tradition, around 2000 BCE/slide 8, Abraham received a divine promise that his descendants would inhabit the land of Canaan, modern-day Israel and Palestine. Jacob's 12 sons became the progenitors of the 12 tribes of Israel. Their descendants migrated to Egypt, where they were enslaved. Under the leadership of Moses, the Israelites escaped Egypt in the Exodus, traditionally dated around the 13th century BCE. Moses received the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai, and the Israelites eventually entered Canaan under Joshua. The United Monarchy, circa 1050 to 930 BCE. The tribal confederation of Israel evolved into a monarchy under King Saul, the first anointed king. Saul was succeeded by King David, c. 1000 to 961 BCE, who established Jerusalem as the political and religious capital. His son, King Solomon, c. 961 to 922 BCE, built the first temple in Jerusalem, solidifying it as the center of Jewish worship. Division and decline. After Solomon's death, the kingdom split into the Kingdom of Israel in the north and the Kingdom of Judah in the south. The northern kingdom was conquered by the Assyrians in 722 BCE, leading to the dispersion of the 10 lost tribes. The southern kingdom endured until 586 BCE, when the Babylonians, under Nebat. Here's a detailed 3,000-word essay on the history of Israel, tracing its journey from ancient times to the modern era. The history of Israel, from ancient origins to modern nationhood. The history of Israel is one of the most remarkable and complex narratives in world history. It spans over 3 millennia and is central to the religious traditions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. From its biblical roots to its modern emergence as a state in the 20th century, Israel's journey is marked by religious devotion, exile, struggle, nation-building, and resilience. This essay explores the historical evolution of Israel in 5 broad phases: the ancient kingdom, Roman and Islamic periods, the diaspora and Zionism, the creation of the modern state of Israel, and its post-independence development and challenges. Ancient Israel, Patriarchs, Kingdoms, and Exile, c. 2000 BCE, 586 BC, 1.1 Patriarchal Origins and Biblical Tradition. The origins of the Israelite people are rooted in the biblical accounts of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. According to the book of Genesis, Abraham was called by God from Mesopotamia to settle in Canaan, modern Israel, Palestine, where God promised him that his descendants would inherit the land. His grandson Jacob, later renamed Israel, had 12 sons whose families became the 12 tribes of Israel. The Israelites migrated to Egypt during a famine, where they later became enslaved. The biblical narrative recounts their exodus under Moses, who received the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai. After wandering in the desert for 40 years, the Israelites, led by Joshua, entered and conquered Canaan. 1.2 Formation of the United Monarchy. By the 11th century BCE, Israelite tribes had established a confederation. The need for unity led to the appointment of King Saul, followed by King David, who established Jerusalem as the capital around 1000 BCE. His son, King Solomon, built the first temple, centralizing worship and strengthening the monarchy. 1.3 Division and Conquest. After Solomon's death, the kingdom split into Israel, north, 10 tribes, Judah, south, 2 tribes, centered in Jerusalem. The kingdom of Israel was conquered by the Assyrian Empire in 722 BCE, and its population was dispersed. The kingdom of Judah survived until 586 BCE, when the Babylonians, led by Nebuchadnezzar II, destroyed the first temple and exiled many Jews to Babylon, marking the Babylonian captivity. Return Hellenism and Roman rule, 538 BCE to 135 CE. // 2.1 Persian Restoration and Second Temple Period. In 538 BCE, the Persian king Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon and allowed the Jews to return to Jerusalem. The Second Temple was completed by 516 BCE, inaugurating a period of religious reform under leaders such as Ezra and Nehemiah. 2.2 Greek and Hellenistic influences. With Alexander the Great's conquests in the 4th century BCE, Israel came under Hellenistic influence. The Seleucid rulers imposed Greek culture, leading to tensions with Jewish traditionalists. This culminated in the Maccabean Revolt, 167 to 160 BCE, led by the Hasmonean family, which successfully reclaimed Jewish autonomy. The Hasmonean dynasty ruled in independent Judea for about a century. 2.3 Roman conquest and Herodian rule. In 63 BCE, Pompey of Rome annexed Judea. In 37 BCE, Herod the Great was installed as a Roman client king. He expanded the Second Temple into a magnificent structure known as Herod's Temple. Tensions between the Romans and Jews grew. The Great Jewish Revolt, 66 to 73 CE, led to the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE by Titus, son of Emperor Vespasian. In 132 CE, the Bar Kokhba revolt against Rome led to massive devastation. Jerusalem was renamed Aelia Capitolina, and Jews were banned from living there. This marked the beginning of a long diaspora. 3. Diaspora, Islamic rule, and European exile, 135 to 1880s. 3.1 Jewish life in the diaspora. For nearly 2 millennia, Jews lived in exile. Their communities spread across the Middle East, Europe, and North Africa. Despite persecution, many communities thrived intellectually, religiously, and economically. The Talmud, completed around 500 CE, became central to Jewish life. Jewish communities experienced relative tolerance under Islamic rule in places like Spain and Baghdad, but faced discrimination and expulsions in Christian Europe, notably during the Crusades, the Inquisition, and pogroms in Eastern Europe. 3.2 Islamic rule in the land of Israel. Following the Muslim conquest in the 7th century, the region came under various Islamic empires: the Umayyads, Abbasids, Fatimids, Seljuks, Ayyubids under Saladin, Mamluks, and eventually the Ottoman Empire from 1517 to 1917. Though Jews were considered dhimmis, non-Muslim protected peoples, they often faced restrictions. However, small Jewish communities remained in Jerusalem, Hebron, Safed, and Tiberias, the 4 holy cities. 3.3 Zionism, the emergence of Jewish nationalism. In the 19th century, modern nationalism swept Europe. Amid growing anti-Semitism, including pogroms in Russia and Dreyfus Affair in France, Jews began to envision a return to their ancestral homeland. The Zionist movement, officially founded by Theodor Herzl in 1897, sought to establish a Jewish state in Palestine. His book Der Judenstaat, 1896, articulated this vision. The first Aliyah, Jewish immigration wave to Ottoman Palestine, began in the 1880s, with settlers founding agricultural communities. IV. British Mandate and the Creation of Israel, 1917 to 1948. 4.1 Balfour Declaration and British Rule. During World War I, the Balfour Declaration of 1917 stated that Britain supported the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. After the war, the League of Nations granted Britain the mandate for Palestine in 1922. British policies, however, attempted to balance promises to Jews and Arabs, leading to tensions. Arab opposition to Jewish immigration and land purchases led to riots and massacres, notably the 1929 Hebron Massacre and the 1936 to 1939 Arab Revolt. Stat 4.2 The Holocaust and its Impact. The Holocaust, 1941 to 1945, in which 6 million Jews were murdered by Nazi Germany, gave new urgency to Zionist goals. Holocaust survivors and displaced persons sought refuge in Palestine, but British restrictions on immigration led to confrontations. Jewish resistance groups like Irgun, Lehi, and Haganah conducted operations against British targets. The 1946 King David Hotel bombing and 1947 UN partition plan reflected the escalating crisis. 4.3 UN partition plan and Israeli independence. In 1947, the United Nations proposed partitioning Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem as an international city. Jews accepted the plan, Arabs rejected it. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion declared the State of Israel. The next day, 5 Arab nations, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, invaded, triggering the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Israel survived and expanded its territory. Over 700,000 Palestinians fled or were expelled, an event Palestinians call the Nakba, catastrophe. The modern state, conflict, peace, and innovation, 1948 to present. Test of 5.1, early years and immigration. Israel's early years were marked by massive immigration, including Holocaust survivors, Jews from Arab countries, often expelled, and later Jews from the Soviet Union and Ethiopia. The population quadrupled in a decade. Despite economic hardship, Israel developed rapidly, establishing universities, military institutions, and a parliamentary democracy. Tashtai 5.2 Arab-Israeli Wars. Israel fought several wars with its neighbors. 1956 Suez Crisis. Israel, Britain, and France invaded Egypt to regain control of the Suez Canal. Political pressure led to withdrawal. 1967 Six-Day War. Israel preemptively struck Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, capturing Gaza, Sinai, West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Golan Heights. The 1973 Yom Kippur War. Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack. Israel repelled them, but suffered heavy losses. These wars transformed Israel into a regional power, but created new tensions over occupied territories. 5.3 Peace and diplomacy. Despite conflict, there have been historic peace efforts. 1979 Egypt-Israel Peace Treaty. Egypt recognized Israel. Israel returned Sinai. 1993 Oslo Accords. Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, agreed on mutual recognition and steps toward a two-state solution. 1994 Jordan-Israel Peace Treaty. However, peace has remained elusive, especially regarding the status of Palestinian territories. 5.4 Palestinian Conflict and Intifadas. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has remained central. First Intifada, 1987 to 1993, Palestinian uprising in the West Bank and Gaza. Second Intifada, 2000-2005, more violent, marked by suicide bombings and Israeli military incursions. Gaza disengagement, 2005, Israel unilaterally withdrew settlers and military from Gaza, but conflict with Hamas, which took control in 2007, has continued. Multiple wars in Gaza, 2008, 2012, 2014, 2021, 2023, have resulted in thousands of casualties. 5.5 Political dynamics. Israeli politics has been marked by coalition governments and shifts between right-wing, center, and left-wing blocs. Notable leaders include David Ben-Gurion, founding father, Golda Meir, first female PM, Menachem Begin, signed peace with Egypt, Yitzhak Rabin, assassinated in 1995, Ariel Sharon oversaw Gaza disengagement, Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's longest-serving PM, debates over settlements, religion, and state, and the judicial system have often divided the nation. 5.6 Innovation, Economy, and Society. Despite ongoing conflicts, Israel has become a global leader in technology, agriculture, medicine, and cybersecurity. Often dubbed the startup nation, it has more startups per capita than any other country. Its economy, once based on agriculture and aid, is now high-tech and export-oriented. Israel joined the OECD in 2010 and has signed trade deals with many countries. Culturally, Israel is diverse, with Jewish communities from Europe, North Africa, Ethiopia, Russia, and Asia, as well as an Arab minority, about 20% of the population, including Muslims, Christians, and Druze. Conclusion. The history of Israel is the story of a people whose identity survived millennia of exile, persecution, and dispersion, culminating in the creation of a modern, vibrant, yet deeply contested nation-state. The conflict with the Palestinians and neighboring Arab countries continues to shape its future, but so do its technological innovations, democratic resilience, and cultural richness. Israel stands today not only as a national homeland for Jews, but also as a microcosm of some of the most pressing global challenges. How to reconcile nationalism with democracy, security with human rights, memory with modernity, and historical claims with political realities.